What is going on, my Super Sandwiches? Ramsar here, and today I will talk about Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 and the brand new changes and features that have been implemented in the sequel. So in case you don't know, which I'm sure a lot of you guys already know by now since I've been posting gameplay, I got a chance to go to Bandai yesterday again, and I got the chance to play the Gamescom build of Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 that was available in Germany. Now, I do want to point out that this is still an early alpha build, so what was present in this demo could very well be greatly different or somewhat different, or if not maybe the same when the game comes out in October. So this is not final. This is just based off the game that I got to play yesterday. For example, we actually weren't even allowed to test out the Trio of Might stage, which a lot of you guys are already asking me, like, Rhymestop, why didn't you pick that stage? The reason why I didn't play in the Trio of Might stage is because it was unfinished. There were missing textures and everything. So again, everything that we got to experience yesterday is still an early alpha, nothing final. So whatever is present in this build could very well be drastically different when the game comes out in October. But with that said, I noticed a lot of new changes, and I want to kind of discuss them to see what you guys think. And hopefully a lot of these changes will stick around when the game comes out in October. So the way I decided to structure this video is going to be in 3 parts. The first part will be all the new improvements that I know you guys are going to be super excited about. Part 2 is going to be more on the nerfs and the changes from Xenoverse 1. And then part 3 is going to be more around the theories of stuff that I noticed, but not 100% confirmed yet. So without further ado, let's discuss everything we saw in Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 yesterday. First things first, let's talk about key charge. Now, charging ki was one of the more controversial things in Dragon Ball Xenoverse 1, just due to the fact for the first time in Dragon Ball Z game history, you had to equip it to use it, which was kind of weird. However, the biggest flaw with charging ki in Xenoverse was due to the fact that it has a very slow startup time, which leaves you wide open in online modes. Basically, anytime you try to charge ki online, you pretty much get beat up, and because of that, it was kind of useless to do, and you were better off relying on drains and then punching to get ki back. However, this time, the biggest thing I noticed with charging ki this time around in Xenoverse 2 is due to the fact that the ki charge startup time is much faster. You can actually kick your opponent back, knock him back, and then do a quick ki charge and get back into pummeling your opponent. So that is a huge improvement to those who love charging ki in battle. You can actually sort of rely on it this time in online modes. Speaking of hit detection, that has greatly improved in Xenoverse 2. Now granted, there's still the big catalyst of playing it online and wondering how it's going to go up against someone who has like a 2 or 3 bar connection, so I don't know how that's going to work. However, based off of playing the local version, I was able to see how much more fluid in the game was due to the fact that they changed how the hitboxes work, as well as how less invincibility frames were. The big problem with Xenoverse 1 was due to the fact that there was way too many invincibility frames, and when you mix that with the combination of bad internet as well as the hit detection, it just wasn't a good mix. However, this time around, they seem to have improved it by making the hitboxes more precise and by reducing the amount of invincibility frames available in the game. And basically what that means is you can get hit a lot more often. Again, the big problem in Xenoverse 1 was due to the fact that when you get knocked out or stop flying, you're somewhat invincible for a second to give you a chance to get up, and this is what makes with the bad hit detection and cause issues. So this time around, you can expect it to work a lot better online, and again, until I actually play it, I can't confirm, but off of playing the local version yesterday, I just see and smell the improvement, and that has me super excited for the game. Speaking of precise hitboxes, back hits have become very dangerous in Xenoverse 2. Now, to those who don't know what a back hit is, you know when you find somebody and you snap vanish behind them and someone can quickly turn around and punch back? Yeah, that. It's a lot faster this time around, and the best way to kind of block it from what I saw yesterday is to either do a perfect block or to try to basically do a sidestep, which is kind of much more difficult to do. So you can't just kind of drift away anymore just because, again, the hitbox is a lot better, and you can't use that to your advantage anymore. So again, if you want to snap vanish behind somebody, expect to get punched or perfect block it or try to sidestep, and that's the best way to get out of the attack. So it's definitely going to change the whole game around when you get online. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the 2 new features that were added in Xenoverse 2, and this includes the stamina break as well as the burst dash. Now, the burst dash works 2 ways. If you press square X on a PS4, it allows you to kind of go after your opponent, so to those who try to run away, you zone in and you punch them. However, if you double tap it, you can actually do the whole fly around thing that we saw in the Rage and Blast series. It kind of like completely stopped them from running. So you can do 2 forms of burst dash, and it's beautiful. Now, I will warn you though, burst dash does take a whole stamina bar, so if you use it while you're out of stamina, it's going to break your stamina, and then you'll be left kind of defenseless in the field. So don't overuse it. However, at the same time, if you see that opponent keeps running around, you can definitely stop them from doing that, and I love that the most in Xenoverse 2, because oh my gosh, the runners in Xenoverse 1 were probably the most annoying kind of players in the entire game. The other new feature known as Stamina Break is going to be quite the game changer just because, well, it breaks your opponent's stamina and allows you to pull off some insane combos. So the way it works is now if you press forward square or forward triangle, you deliver a really hard-hitting attack to your opponent and you break the stamina. However, there's a big difference in breaking the stamina this way as opposed to the old way, and that's the fact that it lasts half the time. If my stamina is low when I block and you break my stamina, I'm kind of screwed for roughly about 10 seconds, and if you're punching me and doing combos, that lasts roughly around 10, 11, 12, 13 seconds. If you do a stamina break straight up, what it does is it breaks the stamina for roughly 5 seconds, and you can extend that if you do combos into like 6-7 seconds. So basically, stamina break now works half the time. So there's still a reason why you want to break your opponent's stamina as opposed to using this. And also note, you can actually block it. You can block, those hard hits in Xenoverse 1 and 2. However, if you do a stamina break and someone blocks it, nothing happens. So there is balance to the attack, and it can be completely abused, but at the same time, it could be a really powerful way to get combos in. On top of that, if you do a stamina break followed by a super attack or an ultimate attack, yikes. I mean, I pulled off a supernova with Cooler a lot of times where I broke my opponent's stamina and then I threw a ball at them, and it almost always connected. So I guess it just get out there and learn. Get out there and learn and see what works best. And to those who are afraid of it, just learn the best ways to stop it. And again, if you block it, it does not break your stamina and you're fine. So those are all the major improvements that I noticed off of playing the game yesterday. And again, this is all from the alpha build. For all I know, there's going to be more features added later, and everything's going to be changed when the final game comes out in October. So just take this with a grain of salt for now. The next thing I want to talk about is the nerfs, and this is going to make a lot of fans super happy because, well, a lot of annoying attacks and moves from Xenoverse 1 will no longer be annoying. Let's talk about the most infamous move yet, and of course that is the Angry Shout. So everybody uses Angry Shout. I mean, I am an avid Angry Shout user, and the reason why Angry Shout was so dangerous in Xenoverse 1 was because you can kind of stagger an opponent and go into a combo, go into a drain, go into whatever. Well, Angry Shout now, it works the same way, where if you use it, you can push your opponent back and get key. However, if you use Angry Shout, it super pushes your opponent away, so you can't actually connect it with any moves anymore. So to those who are using Angry Shout to combo into moves, sorry, you can't do it anymore. As you can see on the screen, every time I used Angry Shout against my friends, they were always pushed too far back, and I could never really connect it. On top of that, if I try to do any super moves, it gives them enough time to escape as well, so you can no longer combo Angry Shout into any moves. Speaking about getting away, After Image is now officially nerfed, and I assume this is going to include Phantom Fist as well. If you guys remember, Phantom Fist and After Image were moves that took no key and basically allowed you to get out of any attack. Well, guess what, folks? After Image and Phantom Fist now officially take key. Well, I saw After Image and I assume Phantom Fist works the exact same way, but now it takes key to do. And I'm not talking about just pulling it off. I'm talking about if you sit there in the middle of the field and press After Image, it takes your key bar away. So you can no longer spam After Image, and I assume any other move that didn't use key before will now use key as well. So that's a really, really good improvement, because I can't tell you how annoying moves like After Image and Phantom Fist were in the game. And I'm sure a lot of you guys still have nightmares over Phantom Fist. Speaking of nightmares, the freeze ray is completely different this time. If you guys remember, the freeze race in Xenoverse 1 was the only race that had a unique key blast that worked very different from the other ones. And what it used to do is it would kind of track you. If it hits you, it freezes you for a couple seconds. Well, this time around, the way it works is, number one, you have to hold the button down so you can't just kind of sit there and spam it anymore. And two, it only goes straight. On top of that, if it does connect, it freezes you for literally like half a second or so. So it does not give you a free reign to figure out what you want to do. If you're going to use the freeze ray this time around, you better figure out how to connect it with moves. Otherwise, it's basically going to be useless, and you probably should pick a different key attack for your custom character. Now, we'll point out that every time Cooler used this freeze ray, it did add poison damage to the character, but I'm pretty sure that was the Super Soul. To those who don't know what Super Soul is a new name for Z-Soul, and every time I use Cooler's attack and pull off a freeze ray, I start kicking, and then I saw poison damage appear in my opponent's name. So again, I don't know if this is because this is actually a freeze ray functionality, or if it is because of Cooler's Super Soul. So until that is confirmed later, I guess kind of keep this one up in the air for now. The next nerf is grabbing on the ground. Now, if you guys remember, the initial gameplay that I posted a couple weeks ago featured being able to pick your opponents up when they're on the ground. Well, you can no longer do that. Now, again, I don't know if this is going to be in the final version of the game or if they nerfed it or what the deal is, but I was not able to pick up my friends at all every time I knocked them on the ground, which is kind of a good sign, because that was a dangerous addition to the game. In Xenoverse 2, when I played a couple weeks ago, every time I knocked my opponent down, I was able to also do some combos with them on the ground and then finish them off with a grab, which was kind of powerful. But this time around, it seems like they fixed that, and again, I don't know if that's going to be final or not, but I noticed that in the new build. Now, the next nerf that I want to cover is counterattacks such as Godbreaker and Burst Rush. Now, yesterday, I only got a chance to use Godbreaker, so I don't know how the other ones are going to work, but I almost never pulled Godbreaker off, which is both good and bad. If you guys remember, Godbreaker in Xenoverse 1 was pretty annoying and allowed you to counter pretty much 100% of the time. And this time around, we couldn't pull off Godbreaker once. So I don't know if we were doing it wrong or if they changed the timing completely or what the deal is, but Godbreaker was pretty much unusable in this build. But again, remember, this is still an alpha build, and I don't know how much is going to change prior to the release of the game. For all we know, it was broken itself, it was buggy, and it'll work better when the game comes out. But for now, Godbreaker and counterattacks seem to be getting some kind of nerf, and that's actually pretty good news. Now, this next nerf is a major change in the game, and it's going to be a huge factor in how you create your character. Certain ultimate attacks now take 5 key bars to pull off, and from what I saw yesterday, attacks like Supernova and Dragon Fist require 5 key bars. Now I will point out that when I played the game initially a couple weeks ago, an attack like Dragon Twist with Goku took 3 key bars. But now in this build, it takes 5, and the big difference is it does a lot more damage than the 3 key bar based attacks. Now as of right now, I don't know what attacks are going to change or what's going to require more key prior to the game coming out. However, I will point out that I do like the new system because now ultimate attacks feel a lot more unique. But for all we know, they might not even keep the system because, again, this is still an alpha build and there's going to be major changes made prior to the game coming out. So what do you guys think about the whole 5 key bar system? Like it or do you not like it? Let me know your thoughts on that in the comment section below. Speaking of ultimate attacks, I noticed that they are harder to pull off now because you don't have super armor anymore. If you guys remember, let's say I'm doing a Spirit Bomb in Xenoverse 1, I fly up, start charging it. If you punch me, nothing happens. To stop it, you have to guard break me. However, what I noticed this time around, if you're doing an ultimate attack, you can be knocked out of it with something as simple as a Ki Blast. Now, this is actually kind of confusing to me because there are certain times where I did an ultimate attack where I kind of had super armor, and then there are other times when I didn't. So I don't know if this is based on certain moves or if you have enough stamina, you can basically have that protection or how it works yet. But it does seem it's going to be easier to stop someone from doing an ultimate attack, and you no longer have to rely on guard breaking every time someone tries to spam Super Kamehameha or the Spirit Bomb. But again, I don't know how the final version of this is going to work, and for all we know, it's going to work exactly the same as it does in Xenoverse 1. So for this one, we're kind of have to stick around and see what happens as the final game comes out in October. And the final major change I noticed is perfect blocking now is a lot slower. If you guys remember in Xenoverse 1, you can just kind of button mash guard until you pull off perfect blocks. It made it a lot easier to do. Well, this time it's kind of a startup time to perfect blocking and guarding, and if you do it wrong, you will get hit. So to those who master perfect blocking, guess what? You'll have to do it once again when Xenoverse 2 comes out in October. So what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the new improvements as well as nerfs. Are you excited, not excited? Are you worried about anything? Feel free to share anything down below. Now for the last part of this video, I want to kind of talk about some theories and speculations based off of the observations I made with the build that I played yesterday. The first thing I want to talk about is the character-based super souls that change your playstyle around completely. In this case, Goku in the build yesterday, when you go Super Saiyan, if you do a regular Kamehameha, you're actually able to warp now too. So it seems that Xenoverse 2 is going to incorporate a lot of these Super Souls that are based on character moves that enhance your character completely. Now Z Souls in Xenoverse 1 were pretty much busted, overpowered, and broken, and they were kind of annoying. So I'm hoping that a lot of the Z Souls or Super Souls that they add in Xenoverse 2 are like this, where if you use them the right way, they can make it more interesting and unique in terms of how you play. I mean, another one I pointed out was Cooler. If he freezes somebody, he adds poison damage with his Super Soul, which I assume that's what it was. So I want to see a lot more of that, and that will be a lot better than the broken crap that we got in Xenoverse 1. Speaking of Z-Souls, I saw a bunch of people ask me questions of how they're going to be nerfed and how they're going to change in Xenoverse 2, and honestly, I don't know the answer to that yet. In fact, even attacks like Kaioken and Super Moves and Ultra Moves, I don't know how anything's going to change quite yet. But I do know that certain moves like After Image and Angry Shot being nerfed. I assume since they're kind of focused on fixing everything from the last game, that a lot of issues from Xenoverse 1 are not going to be present in Xenoverse 2. But again, that's a complete guess, and until I actually play it myself, I can't really confirm anything yet. However, it's a step in the right direction, and hopefully the DIMS team and Bandai will address all the problems from Xenoverse 1 prior to releasing the game in October. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is, and this is again complete speculation, theory, guess, I don't know how the final version is going to work with this. I noticed for Cooler's character in the build yesterday, it just said Cooler 4th form. Now, if it says that, that pretty much confirms that it will not let him transform in the game. Otherwise, it wouldn't say 4th form, because unless it changes, I mean, it could do that. But from seeing how Xenoverse 1 did it, I feel like they're going to do the exact same thing. And characters like First Form Frieza can transform. This means Cell probably can transform. And this means Cooler can transform. But again, it's a complete guess. And for all we know, this could change prior to the release of the game in October. So fingers crossed there. Because, I mean, I know a lot of us, myself included, want to play as these characters and transform in the middle of battle. Because transformations are always so special. So until they actually confirm how that actually works, it's up in the air, and I do want to kind of point it out based on my observation yesterday when I played the game. So that's pretty much everything. Let me know your thoughts on everything I covered. There's a lot that I talked about, and there's probably still a lot that I missed. I do know that Sia Reacts and Afro Sandra are going to do their own breakdowns as well, so make sure you go to their channels as well and just kind of wait for them to upload their videos. But hey, from what I played yesterday, it's a step in the right direction. I'm excited, and I cannot wait to see what else the DIMS team and Bandai have in store for us as we get closer and closer to October and the release of Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. So of course, if you're hyped, make sure you leave a like rating below and let me know your thoughts on everything I discussed. Any question you might have in the comment section below. As always, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. My name is Rhymestyle, and I will see all your awesome super sandwiches in the comment section below. Peace.